A family shattered, a young man taken too soon.
I know that he didn't die in vain.
Hours after this deadly crash, how the family of a UC football player wants you to remember Chimota Palmore. Dangerous waters. The I-Team uncovers 3 reasons why the site of a deadly boat crash is more treacherous. School Star. Why you need to look deeper than the melody to see this student's inspirational talents.
It touches you more when it's close to home, you know. And this is not just close to home. This is inside our living room.
They would rather be cheering on their son in tomorrow's big game against Ohio State. Instead, they're reflecting on his life. Good evening. Tonight, the high school and college football community is showing its support for the Bearcats and the family of 19-year-old Chimota Kennedy Palmore.
And all this right before a huge game at Ohio State. In fact, Ohio State will show respect with a moment of silence in front of more than 100,000 fans. But tonight, 9 on Your Side's Tony Moronis talked with the Palmore family and tells us they are staying strong through faith and the love of their son.
He went to the beach when he was, 2 or 3.
A mother shares her memories of her baby boy.
I got him, and he just took off running. He ran as fast as us. He caught up to us.
As much as Chimota loved football, his family says he enjoyed people first.
Just loving, always hugs and kisses.
It touches you more when it's close to home, you know. And this is not just close to home. This is inside our living room.
The Palmore family grieves for Chimota and celebrates his life. To say they're proud of him is an understatement.
He was always positive and always available to help other people.
I'd like to thank all the people that's praying for us and all the people that just the outpour of love that we didn't receive.
The way we can find peace in this is that although his light did not shine for a long time, it did shine very bright.
I'm just so thankful that our son loved God and accepted Jesus Christ in his life. So that gives me peace. And by his character, I know that God made him the type of person. And we was just blessed to have him for this short time, but we are so thankful.
Chimota's alma mater will be playing right here in Fairfield tonight in front of the crowd, and that's when the teams plan on meeting at midfield right during the coin flip, and that's where they're going to have a moment of silence, not only for him, but also his family. Tony Moronis, 9 on Your Side.
And you know there will be a lot of tears. Chimota's family also shared that while he is gone, his death helped others because he was an organ donor. And of course, Twitter has been flooded with comments from people sending condolences. We've got a link to those right now on WCPO.com.
We are learning more tonight about 2 FBI workers killed last night in a boating accident on the Ohio River. Bryce Eastlick of Lebanon and John Stack of Loveland died when their boat hit a barge near downtown, but there are still a lot of questions. We've got team coverage for you on this story. The I-Team's Brendan Keefe is looking into how dangerous that part of the river is, but we start with Jason Law, who is at the river's edge. He talked with Eastlick's family about Bryce's final moments. Jason.
That's right. I talked to the parents of both of these young men. Chuck Eastlick told me that he believes poor visibility along the river last night contributed to his son Bryce inadvertently driving into the back of a barge Thursday evening.
Just after 1 o'clock Thursday afternoon, Bryce Eastlick wrote this on his Facebook page. Last call out. Putting the boat in the river for Dierks Bentley tonight at Riverbend. Still room left on the boat. Get a hold of me. Eastlick had just bought the boat 2 months earlier. His father, Chuck, says he helped his son pick it out.
Yeah, it's just like I don't want to wake up. It just can't be real.
Investigators say Bryce Eastlick and his friend from the FBI, John Stack, crashed into a barge and were killed. When we spoke to Bryce's father, John Stack's black BMW was still parked in Bryce's driveway, right where he left it the day before. Chuck says Bryce and his wife, Anna, had only been married for 14 months.
He was a Christian. We're Christians. He's fine now, and I'm sure he'll tell us not to. I'm sorry. Not to worry about it. And that's the biggest thing that's getting us through. You know, we know that he's okay, and we'll see him someday. And you know, he was my buddy.
The Eastlick family is disputing claims that alcohol was a contributing factor in the accident last night. The Campbell County coroner says that the tests that they have completed in the autopsies should come back in a few days and reveal more information. Now, this can be a very dangerous stretch of river here behind me on the Ohio River. And my colleague, the I-Team Chief Investigator Brendan Keefe, has been looking into this, and he has more now in our continuing coverage. Brendan?
Jason Law, thanks. It's one of the busiest spots on the Ohio River, but before last night, actually, deaths on this part of the river were actually down. In fact, there were no deaths last year, which was essentially cut that number right down from the previous years. This is a really challenging part of the river near downtown, particularly for barge traffic, because there's so many pleasure boats that congregate around here and small fishing boats, and barges simply can't avoid that. Add that to that, this stretch in front of downtown is also one of the narrowest parts of the river. The channel for barge traffic is further narrowed by those bridge piers, and there are also 2 hairpin turns that barges have to navigate right here, that the captains have to navigate. Now, last night's fatal collision happened in near total darkness, and the city lights can actually make things worse because it's harder to see a black coal barge. This is actually a shot from last night of that barge. You see the tug and the tow here, but do you see that barge? You don't. There's marker lights way up here, but imagine that now silhouetted by the city lights. Add to that, of course, the size of these ships, these coal barges. It's like a freight train. It can take quite a distance to stop in an emergency, and they don't exactly turn on a dime. Tanya?
No, they do not. Thank you, Brendan. New information tonight. Northwest Local School District says employees did nothing wrong with 4 students who were expelled earlier this year. Parents have filed suit claiming the 4 students were expelled for rap videos they were making outside of class and assuming they were in a gang. Northwest says the videos nor race were any factors in the expulsions. They did not explain exactly why they were expelled, though. WCPO reporter Lucy May dug into more of the parents' claims in her article. It's on WCPO.com right now.
The man who was stabbed on a busy downtown street today is talking to 9 on Your Side tonight about his scary experience. 9 on Your Side's Tom McKee spoke with Mike DiPuccio and is live with what he had to say. Tom?
Well, Carol, DiPuccio told me by phone he was standing against a building at 9th and Sycamore Streets downtown waiting for his nephew when all of a sudden a man came up behind him and stabbed him, began stabbing him with a butcher knife. Now, it was random. It was in broad daylight, and it took place on a street crowded with people headed to the courthouse. DiPuccio says no words were exchanged. There was no provocation, just slashes and stabs to the face, head, and stomach. He needed 16 stitches to close the cuts in his face. At first, he thought it was a hunting knife in the suspect's hand because the blade was so big, but he later learned it was a butcher knife. Arrested, of course, in this case was Howard Martin, who was charged with felonious assault and due in court tomorrow morning. Police say he has mental issues. Now, the biggest question DiPuccio says he has tonight is why someone who has mental issues would be on the street with a butcher knife in the first place. But he added, he told me from now on he's going to be much more aware of his surroundings when he's out in public. Now, here on a side note, Martin was once an employee here, and the station had to take out a restraining order on him, so clearly there's a history of issues. Tanya, Carol?
Thank you, Tom. Coming up, Uniting Cincinnati.
The new effort looking to bring neighborhoods together and better welcome newcomers.
And Kadish at the bat. How you could be part of this weekend's Home Run Derby and how the Loveland student will kick it off. You are watching 9 on Your Side at 6.